तत्परं पर्याय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात् ओम योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरि गुरु महाराज की जय. Welcome back to another beautiful time where we can all come together, trying to contemplate, understand the art and science of yoga. Yoga is an art, it's a science, it's a philosophy, it's a psychology, a beautiful way of life. It can be your best friend, yes. It can be something that's with you every moment of your life if you choose for it to be. A transformative principle that enables us to grow from where we are and manifest our potential fully. Something that enables us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. Something that enables us to consciously, mindfully work out the karma that we have carried into this incarnation, the sabija karma, the backpack we have carried into this lifetime, working through it step by step and being mindful not to create more karma, kriyamana karma, not creating any more karma in that way. Because as Patanjali, my dear Maharishi Patanjali tells us, karma ashukla akrishnam yogina trivida mitaresham, that for the yogi there is no black or white karma. There is no positive or negative karma because they are transcending the karma by living their dharma. When you live your dharma, your purpose, when you are you, you are not creating any karma. You are just working out whatever is there. The balance is being taken care of. Interestingly, when we talk about black or white, Adi Shankara, the great Adi Shankara of Kaladi, Shankara, who revitalized what today we know as Hinduism, which actually is Sanatana Dharma. That Dharma, that purpose that is eternal. The eternal purpose of the universe. That is what Sanatana Dharma means. The reason the universe exists is Sanatana Dharma. And that is why a universalist is actually what a Sanatana Dharmi is, a universalist. But in around the 6th and 7th century, when India was overtaken by the Buddhist and Jain influences, very strong at that time, Adi Shankara revitalized Hinduism, the Hindu way of thought, what today is known as Hinduism. And in a short lifespan of less than 40 years, traveled extensively throughout the country. How he did it, God knows. No airlines, no trains, no buses. And yet he was able to travel to each and every nook and corner of this marvelous country. And at that time, of course, it was not just India as we know it today, which is a political subdivision of what was Akhand Bharat, the unbroken Bharat, which included areas all the way up to Afghanistan on that side, Myanmar on the other side, Sri Lanka below, this whole area which was Akhand Bharat. Is later on it got politically divided into small bits and pieces. So when we talk about India culturally, it's much, much wider, and even Nepal, Myanmar, up to Afghanistan. Of course, Pakistan was part of India till 1947, and Bangladesh also, you know the stories there. Adi Shankara revitalized the Hindu perspective and amazing teachings. In fact, amazing teachings came out of him. And one of the teachings that really means a lot to me is what is called Dasa Sloki. The Dasa Sloki Dasa meaning 10, Dasha. Sloki means verses. And these are 4 lines, and there are 10 of these 4 lines. And it is said that this was given by Adi Shankara as a young kid when he met his guru, Bhagavad Pada. And he meets his guru, and the guru, as usual, says, "Who are you? Introduce yourself." We call it Abhivandan. Introduce yourself. Now, most people will say, "This is my name. This is my father and mother's name. This is where I'm from. This is my education. This is my color, caste, creed, religion." All those subdivisions that are human made. Yeah, blame it on the man-made. Why call it human? Man-made divisions. You are different than me. That Dvaitam, that is the cause of all stress and all problems. You are different than me. The more we start to be a universalist and realize we are all one, that is where the change, the transformation comes. We are one. Full stop. We are one. Full stop. Okay? Not even a comma. No hyphen, no slash. No. We are one. So Adi Shankara is asked by his guru. This young kid comes to him to join his ashram and learn from him. Gurukula, the Guru Shishya Parampara, which is the living reservoir of the traditional teachings. The traditional teachings cannot be given in a university academic framework. The university academic framework can give you information which you can think you know, and you can get a degree, a paper that says you know it. That's all. You can have a PhD in not knowing the reality. That is actually the status. Guru Shishya Parampara, the living tradition, is the tradition through which the spirit of the yoga can go from the teacher to the student. There is no other way. You can learn techniques. Even a robot can teach you techniques better than anyone, because you can design a robot who will do the asanas perfectly. The breath holding pranayama will done perfectly. Every step will be the 1.A, 1.1A, 1.1B, E, 1.1B, E, D. And all this nonsense that we look for. Yes, a robot can do it better than a human being. So get your robot teacher and go have a class. Guru Shishya Parampara is the living tradition through which the spirit can be imbibed, understood, and then transferred. So Adi Shankara is asked by his guru, "Who are you?" And you know what Adi Shankara starts off? He starts off negating every attachment that we have. Everything we are attached to, he negates it. Adi Shankara uses this also because the Buddhist and Jain influence was there. So there was a lot of that nihilism, that negation as part of the Buddhist tradition. So he, in many of his teachings, adopts it. And he starts off with the attachment to the Pancha Mahabhuta, the 5 elements. Na bhumin na toyam na tejo na vayu na gam nendriyam va na teshan samoha anaikantikatvat shushupte kasiddha tadhyeko vashishtam shiva kevaloham. And he goes on. Beautiful verses. I am not all these attachments. Navarna, Navarna, Shramacharadam. I'm none of this. He even Na yoga, the yopi. He comes in that also. Not Mimamsa, not yoga. He says, I am beyond this. Who I am is not any of these. I am not what I am by these identifications that have been created by a limited mind. Then comes a beautiful verse where he talks about color. And he says, Na shuklam na krishnam na pidam na shuklam na krishnam na raktam na pitam. I am not white, I am not black, I am not red, nothing. I am none of these attachments. Na shuklam, white. Na krishnam, dark. I am not the light, I am not the dark in the sense of color. I am not white, I am not black, I am not red, I am not yellow. I am not thin and stout, I am not stout or thin, I am not short or long. All these identifications that are based on sensory perception. Na shuklam, na krishnam, na raktam, na pitam, na kubjam, na peenam, na hasvam, na dhirgam. And then comes his punchline. For those of you who don't know, in Indian movies, especially Rajinikanth movies, our superstar Rajini movies, you have to have a punchline. And then comes his punchline. After talking about this. Arupam tata arupam. I am not of any form. Remember the Atma, that Ishvara, that Purusha, is beyond form. Arupam. Rupa is form. What beautiful concepts are there. I am not of any form. Because form is sa guna. You remember yesterday I said, Ekadantam chaturhastam pashamankushadarinam. That is all sa guna, with the guna. Arupam. Arupam tata. And then what does he say? Jyotirakarakatvat. That luminosity of Jyoti. Such a beautiful concept. Luminosity of Jyoti, that is what we are. We are the luminous supreme being. That spirit, that Atma. Vishuddhatmakatvat. We are that highest, purest spirit. Energy. When you think of energy, what do you think? You think of luminosity. That form of light, that form of energy, that luminosity. That is what Jyoti is all about. You thought I forgot the topic. No, I was building towards it. The topic is Jyoti. That Jyoti is not a Jyoti that I struck a matchstick and so now I have it. It's not that Jyoti. I struck a matchstick, now I have a light. I lit a lamp, now I have a light. I lit a candle, I have a light. It's not that. The Jyoti is that luminosity that is of its own nature. Self-luminosity. That is why the sun, Surya, is such a visible manifestation of that universality. Because the sun is self-luminous, not like the moon. That is why in yoga tradition, we always have done Surya Namaskar. The Chandra Namaskar is a new variation that has come up and it has its own connotations. But the yogis have been very careful. The focus is on the solar energy. That is why it is a sunrise, not the sunset. Yesterday it was so interesting to hear Sri Devi of Switzerland talk to Divya in her Global Voices. And for those who have not yet watched it, please watch these episodes. Divya is now today on to her 12th episode. Today will be Vijaya in Berlin. And such beautiful insights coming from these senior members of our Geetananda family worldwide. Thanks to Divya. And what is Divya? Light. And Divya Priya was born on 21st of June. And that is why she was given the name Divya. That divine light. And Priya, that beloved one, the one who is the light and the beloved, or the beloved light, truly living up to her name in so many ways. And it's the brightest day, the longest day in the northern hemisphere. That is why it was selected as the International Day of Yoga. The concept of Jyoti is a concept of that beautiful light. You have not made the light, you have not lit the light. The light is self-sustaining. That self-effulgence. It is the self-effulgence, not the light that is put from outside. Not the light that is put on you, but the light that comes from inside. Patanjali actually equates this very beautifully when he talks about the gunas, because he doesn't use the term as we understand it, the Tama, Rajasika and Sattva, though later on he uses the term Sattva. When he talks of the guna, he actually uses the terms Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Sheelam Bhutendriyatmakam Bhoga Pavargatam Drishyam, that the world that we perceive is made up of the gunas which are Prakasha Kriya Sthiti. Prakasha is that luminosity, that is the Sattva. The Sattva guna, which we say Sattvika guna, that is that Prakasha. Prakasha. Prakasha, Kriya. Kriya is action, that is the Rajasika guna. And Sthiti, which is the Tamasika guna, that which gives stability. When we talk about this, we are talking about a luminosity that comes from within. And that is why Patanjali, when he talks about how to deal with the antarayas, all the obstacles that are there on our sadhana path, one of the methodologies he gives us is to contemplate the inner light, a light that is Vishoka. Shoka means suffering, sorrow. Vishoka means that which has transcended sorrow and suffering. It is a similar meaning to the word Ashoka. Vishoka, Ashoka are very similar in meaning. He says, Vishoka va Jyotishmati. Vishoka va Jyotishmati. That Jyoti that is within you, that luminosity that is there, that Prakasha, that what you should do, you should contemplate that. A light that is within you, a light that is not unpleasant. When you think of the sun, after some time, if you gaze at the sun, you'll start to close your eyes. It is too bright, or it is too hot. Too bright, too hot, it is burning. You get a sunburn. You get heat exhaustion. I'll never forget a group of our German ladies who had visited us many years ago. They had come out of dull, cold, grey Berlin, came to India, stopped at Mahabalipuram, which is halfway between Chennai and Pondicherry. So they thought, let's have one day of relaxation in a nice star hotel before we get to the ashram, which is a boot camp. Amma writes to people, she says, ashram is a boot camp. Don't come here expecting a hotel. Nowadays, all these ashrams have become 5-star hotels. They are no longer ashram. They are just a 5-star hotel with the name ashram on them. Big business. The customer has to be happy. The moment your students become your customers, you are doomed. Teacher-student relationship is not a customer-provider relationship. Please understand that. Seriously. One of the real degradations in modern times is where the teachers in yoga are catering to the whims and fancies of the students, because the students are consumers and customers, and the customer is always right. Huh? Oh my God. What a degradation of these relationships. Anyway, these ladies from Berlin, they decided to have a nice one-day rest. So they landed in Chennai airport, got picked up, taken to Mahabalipuram, to this beautiful 5-star or 3-star resort, which had a nice private beach. A nice private beach. And so all of them went out, wow, sun! And because in Berlin they hadn't seen the sun. So they said, "Sun!" And they all lay down. Huh? They lay down on the beach and enjoyed the noonday sun. Couple of hours of noonday sun in India, you can kill yourself, okay? You can kill yourself if you're not careful. And by the time they got to the ashram the next day, they were all on the verge of basically a sunstroke, heat exhaustion from being out in the noonday sun. When Patanjali is talking of Jyoti, he is talking of a luminosity that has no negativity associated with it at all. Only luminosity. Do not even try to qualify that luminosity. Luminosity. So that is why he says, Vishoka va Jyotishmati. Vishoka va Jyotishmati. That is one of the things he says. He talks about different methods of contemplation to attain what he calls Chitta Prasadanam, clarity of the mind. Because if your mind is not clear, you will not understand anything. You will not perceive things as they are. So he uses that word, Vishoka va Jyotishmati. This is why when we do the Jyoti Dharana, that becomes a Jyoti Dhyana. And if the universe wishes it, a Jyoti Samadhi can also occur. Arvitpiram Jyoti we talked about yesterday. When you are contemplating that light, you are contemplating a luminosity, effulgence. Do not think about it as a flame. The problem, the moment you think about it as a flame, you have limited it to a shape. And this is one of the issues we have, because we have Jyoti Trataka. The Tratak, which is the fixed gaze, fixing your gaze in focus and defocus on a light. So normally we put a nice diha, and you put a lamp with a nice flame and you focus on the flame, or you put a candle and you focus on it. The danger, see, this is a technique. The danger is we start to think the light as a flame. Do not limit it. A flame is limited. Think of it as luminosity, effulgence, no boundaries, just luminosity. Now when you think of it just as luminosity without boundaries, it is actually now starting to become real Jyoti. The moment you think of it as a flame, you have limited it. Because then you start thinking about the wick. Now there are a lot of philosophical aspects about the oil, the wick, the tailadara, the lamp, and even the gunas, that the lamp, the clay lamp is the tamasika guna, the oil coming through the wick is the rajasika guna, and the flame that is coming is the sattvika guna. Beautiful concepts. I'm not talking about the concepts. I'm saying when you think of Jyoti and you want to contemplate that inner light, do not start thinking of a flame inside your head. It is not a flame inside your head. And for those of you who don't know what a flame looks like and you are thinking of a bulb with a filament, do not think of a filament inside your head, for God's sake. An LED bulb with all those small things. Don't start thinking about that inside your head. When we talk about Jyoti, when we are talking about Jyoti, we are talking about a luminosity and effulgence that is actually, as Shankara tells us, arupam tata jyotirakarakatva. Can you think of a luminosity without limiting it? Our mind has a tendency to limit it. We want it to be a box. Because if it's in a box, I can know everything about it. So you put yoga in a box. Yoga in a box is not yoga. Anything in a box is not itself. One day, for those of you who are going to get buried, you will be put in a box. By then it's not you, it's just the body. Anything in a box is not alive most of the time. I don't Remember the last time I saw anything in a box that was alive? It's dead. Yoga in a box is dead. Get that. Gangsta yogi. Yoga in a box is not yoga. Yoga unlimited is yoga. I need to make a gangsta on that. Gangsters sort of gone into background because he says, what do I do now? I'm out of a job. Dr. Ananda's taken over all my gangster punch dialogues. So I don't have any punch dialogues. So gangster is quite mad at me these days. Please, for God's sake, don't put anything in a box. People like to put the people they love in a box. Kill them. Put them in a box. Then you can define them. We want this box for definition because of our limitation. Do not limit that light within you by putting it in a box. Don't say, oh, this is a flame. See, the problem is many spiritual masters, when they started talking of these concepts, they got limited by language and they have talked about it. I was reading an amazing spiritual master yesterday. I was looking for something on the net and it came up a beautiful speech by this master, and he keeps on saying, the flame in your eyes, the flame in your ears, the flame in your tongue. And I'm like, I know what he means. He is meaning something amazing. But the moment you use the word flame, people start thinking of that flame of the lamp or the candle. Finished. You have limited them. And we have done a lot of this in translation of Indian spiritual concepts into language. Lot of issues, and I really don't know. I'm trying my best to fight it. But it's like holding up the avalanche. Somebody said Dr. Ananda is a snowball. But I think sometimes I'm at the bottom holding up the avalanche that started as a snowball up at the top. Some spiritual master with good heart, noble intention, they wanted that people should understand it, and it was mistranslated. We had a beautiful session by Dr. Jairam. Dr. Jairam of the KYM Chennai, he gave us a beautiful talk in one of our seminars at Saiter on this. And he gave beautiful examples of what happens in translation. Either it is altered, mutated, totally changed. The moment you translate Jyoti as flame, you have limited it. It is luminosity. It is effulgence. Now, if you think of the term luminosity and effulgence, there's no limit. It means it is every place at the same time. So when you think of this inner light, that inner light which is inside you, do not limit it. It is just a beautiful light. That's all. Do not try to say it is of, usually when we start, we say, think of it as a pinpoint and then that point is growing. I think that's the only thing I would ever find myself sort of saying, because in order to help people understand the expansiveness, that when we do the Jyoti Dhyana, what we say is that think of that as a pinpoint in the Ajna. We have been talking of the Ajna Bindu. Think of that Ajna Bindu and that there's that pinpoint of light, and then that light is slowly growing, filling your whole head, filling your whole body, going out into the cosmos and filling the whole cosmos, and you are one with the light. So there is a description there, not for limitation, but to go from the minute point, the bindu, out into the cosmos. So only for that purpose we use it. And that is why Patanjali, and I'm going to end with this today so that I don't miss it. Patanjali tells us in the Vibhuti-pada, where he talks about the siddhis that are attained by samyama. He says, Murda Jyotishi Siddha Darshanam. That Jyoti which is inside, that Murda Jyoti, this is a luminosity that's within us. The luminosity which is within us, which we don't know often. He says, when you do samyama on that inner luminosity, basically Jyoti Dharana and Jyoti Dhyana, when Dharana Dhyana becomes Samadhi, that is Samyama. Samyama it becomes. It has all come together. When Dharana Dhyana Samadhi occur on something, and if it is on the Jyoti, the inner light, more the Jyoti, What happens? Siddha Darshanam, he says, you have darshana of all the great masters. Now, it doesn't mean all the masters are going to line up in front of you so you can take selfies with them. It means that you have become a master yourself and you are one amongst them. That is what happens. We'll continue this today because I have to be off for work. You are just all so amazing. Just, 91 days. Today is 91 days. 91 days of being with all of you, sharing with you. Such amazing teachings are coming alive through me. I thank you for bringing it out of me. Thank you for being the recipients who enable these teachings to flow. Teachings of the divine universe to flow to you through me. I'm only a tool. I'm only a transmitter. Yeah? The source is the universe and you must be deserving it. That is why it is happening. Thank you for you.